What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Transcendence podcast. I'm G.O.D.
And I'm Ray.
And we're your hosts. Take a journey with us into the realms of some of humanity's most inner thoughts and theories about what lies before us and beyond the other side. Take a step back with us from the day-to-day heavy burdens of this constant evolving life. From awakening the collective, astrology, the spiritual divine, holistic health, shamanism, and quantum theory, to the frequencies and vibrations of our universe, history, religion, numerology, and so much more.
We spend countless hours researching to bring you the breakdown of information from some of the greatest minds in these fields and even our own experiences. We're here to challenge your thoughts so that you can reshape your own minds and beliefs into ones that better serve you.
We hope you enjoy the discussions about the supernatural and the ancient knowledge that we have become so fond of, and we wish to share with you so that it may also help you on your quest in this human experience we're living. Let the transcendence begin. Godspeed and share on. All right. So this is the first ever episode of the Daily Transcendence. Just a little outline of what we're doing here today. So we're going to just tell you a little bit about ourselves so you can get to know us and how we got here.
Tell me about you.
Would you like to start off?
Would I like to start off? I would love to start off. Well,
I'm a gentleman. I like to come second.
I like you. Well, my name's Ray. Originally from North Plainfield, New Jersey. Now a resident of Toms River, New Jersey. Been in Jersey my whole life. I'm a musician, come from a family of musicians. It's my weird side. It makes me the weird thinker I am today. But, to be brief, basically, had a normal childhood, always had a bunch of questions about life. Would push it to the side for my personal endeavors of just growing up being a kid into an adult, and ended up, I'll be honest, I started with the whole 9/11. 9/11 happened, and that totally just, not that I don't have any beliefs I want to spew out about it, but it led me to a path of just wanting to know things. So, as time went on, I saw Zeitgeist, and Zeitgeist totally sparked my love for the occult. Learned about astrology, its correlations with ancient religions, and I've just been interested in this stuff ever since. So, and that's how I ended up here. Very brief, but that's basically it.
As far as me, I'm 28 years old, born in North Jersey as well, but I grew up down the shore. Not as interesting. I'm not a musician. Don't really have that talent, but that's okay.
It's developed.
It develops over time. Ray's helping me explore that.
First lesson on the Transcendence. You could do whatever you'd like.
Exactly. That's actually where I'll get into that. Anyway, so I grew up in a very old-fashioned Italian household, also very Christian belief type household.
Rigatoni eating.
Exactly. Pasta slurp and pray on Sunday.
Fettuccine heaven.
Exactly. At a young age, though, I was very, very interested with culture and history. I don't know. It was like, that was my thing. It was like constantly, because like, I guess I was so like involved in my own Italian heritage. Plus it was like constantly beaten down on me by my father. Like, you got to be proud of your culture. He didn't talk like that, but that was the thing. And the culture led me into learning more about history, the history of like my culture. And then as I did that, I started learning about how my culture was intertwined with so many other cultures, being that I was Sicilian, and Sicily being, an island that was looked at as a stronghold, military advantage, mountainous, surrounded by water. So that was what really actually got me interested.
Plus you were religious.
Yeah, so I was like, religious
in which
too.
that has a lot to do with culture, and also Italians.
Yes,
it's a big one.
Exactly, and like you would think that I grew up in probably like a Catholic type household. Like, no, didn't. Like, I know a lot of my family like beforehand was like Catholic, but I think it was my dad's uncle when he came over from Sicily. He like started spreading Christianity to everybody, and I guess everybody just kind of picked up on it. Even my mom. Like, my mom grew up Catholic. Only thing I ever did was I was baptized. That's it. Never went to CCD, none of that stuff.
I actually did all that.
Yeah. So you did all your
Catholicism, totally, like, and through the whole thing, I questioned it. So, I mean, as soon as I found out about Santa Claus, that's not that I don't believe in certain, higher powers and all, but it gave me the certain aspect to start asking questions. So, but yeah, I had the CCD and all that other stuff. So yeah, I didn't know you didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I didn't do any of that. And like, I can't say I really questioned my beliefs. Cause honestly, growing up, like I feel like I was pretty impressionable. being taught the way that was the thing though. I was taught in a very different way about, God, the Bible and Christianity and Jesus. Like it was very, very relationship type. It was very like that you were, it was very personal. It wasn't so ritualistic. It wasn't all that. And like, also like at a young age, I was told that's how it shouldn't be. Who's to say that's the right thing or the wrong thing? That's not the point. I was just kind of taught in a different fashion, which I think that left me to be open, especially like as I went on in life. I experienced a lot of different friends and people that I grew up with, especially going through some growing pains. I experienced a lot about like clashes with my beliefs, between whatever I was doing or whatever I was experiencing. But I was very receptive to history and stuff. And I started seeing how I was intertwining history with things that I had read and learned in the Bible at a young age.
Making connections.
Yeah, and also my beliefs. And I would use that to try to find a way to bring an understanding of like what was actually in my heart, but also what I learned in a way that those people that would challenge my beliefs, that I could be able to have a conversation with them and make it more open-minded. And as I went through life, I kind of just kept doing that a little bit. And so being the fact that my family also is in the restaurant industry, like everybody, big surprise. I came in contact with a lot of people. I also lived in San Diego, California for a while on multiple separate occasions. But I met a lot of different types of people, came across different types of opinions, different cultures. And I knew there was so much more for me out there than just my little box of whatever I thought or my perspectives.
Right. So you had quite the journey leading up to now.
Exactly. So I became a lot more open-minded. That's where I also realized I was like, I don't want to follow in the same footsteps as my family.
Well, like anybody else that comes out of it, or not out of it, but that starts asking questions, I feel like it's more so either you're suffering a lot or you're not seeing the results that you're promised.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You go to church, you pray, you do your own thing, but I'm still, receiving things I didn't ask for.
So I think that's where my curiosity started going, especially as I started developing more of the skills and actually learning about those things in biology and everything. That's where I started to question more things. So in that due process, I actually, I moved back down the shore because I was living up in North Jersey, and I moved back down the shore, just was looking for a job temporarily. And I happened to come across a little plaza where there was a place that I was going to apply to, but it happened to be that the place was still under construction and you had to just like email to apply. So as I'm walking past, I saw there's this other store. It was this Jersey Mike's. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I knew a kid, Ray, who used to work at Jersey Mike's. Not this one. He actually worked at the one that was like down the other side of town. But something made me like look in, and I looked inside and I happened to see him there. I was like, holy crap. I was like, that's weird that he's here. And this was a new store.
Yeah, we knew each other through a relationship I had. Mm-hmm. It was one of my first girlfriends that she introduced me to him around, I don't know, this was in high school. So you're talking, let's just round it 7-8 years prior to that.
Yeah.
Before that, something like that. It was a while ago. We just met each other.
2006 and 2010.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just acquaintances, kind of just like, hi, how you doing? That's it.
Yeah.
And then we didn't really see each other much. I mean,
Nope.
And then, well, let's not forget in between you worked with my best friend, Mike Polero. He worked at Chipotle with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know Gio.
And also showed up at
Amanda.
a party that you were at. That was your friend's house.
Yeah, that was a bad night.
Yeah, that was a weird night. But anyway, so so we didn't really we weren't actually friends. So it just we were acquaintances. So I don't even know what drew me into wanting to go and say what's up to him. But I did. I came in, I said what's up to him. We started talking. I told him how, my situation. I was looking for a job, and he was like, hey, it's like, we're always looking for people.
I'm the manager. I was manager.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not bragging either, but I was manager because I worked there for so long. So it was real just ironic, how it all ended up where he looking for a job. Basically, he's back from California. I'm still at the same place I was basically since high school, because I mentioned in the beginning, I am a musician and I'm just a nonconformist. Really. I don't fit really well into, I feel a bigger purpose, and not that I'm making that any type of I don't hold no trophy for that. I'm just, naturally always was inclined to be my own person and want to do things that made me happy. I can't really do a good job with conforming. So but I'm still there because basically I'm trying to get my career started, my musical career and all that. I don't want to go get a corporate job. So I'm still there. He walks in and, we bullshitted for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, we'll hire you. I really just didn't really think twice because I just hired somebody else too. Ironically, somebody else before him because we were looking for people because it was a new place, as he mentioned. And I got this other kid a job, and just all of a sudden now 2 friends walk in and I get them hired on spot, and it sparked a whole crazy 2-year journey.
Yeah, it was like all of a sudden this like big, real close relationship developed and this friendship, and it was cool. It was like we had our own little group and community, and that's where kind of Ray started introducing, because obviously being around him so much, working with him, and then even starting to hang out outside of work. He started introducing me to a lot of the stuff that he was already interested. Like, he explained to me about zeitgeist. He had showed me an astrologer and everything. And like,
shout out to David Palmer,
Leo King. So anyway, so he started showing me those things and talking to me a little bit about it. But in the back of my head, I still had my beliefs, but I was not dictated so much by my beliefs. So I kept an open mind, and I don't know, just the discussion about how we started talking about them, and as we started progressing and learning about how this information kind of how it has its significance,
ties into many things.
Yeah, we ended up just going into real deep conversations, like to the point where as time went on, we were literally sitting there in a car or after
in
work,
front of friends' houses, waiting for them to come out,
and like having these deep discussions.
Like, let's voice memo.
Yeah, we're like, let's record this on our phone, and we
see how we do.
And we actually said, we were like, it'd be cool if one day we could start a podcast.
Yeah.
So but that was like not even really like a full blown idea.
No, it was just one of those things where you come up with crazy ideas with your friends all the time. It's like, imagine if we did that.
Yeah.
Like this would be sick if we And I mean, I'm glad we didn't then, because the maturity level wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
Not that we were immature, but we still had some demons to work out.
We definitely each went on our own individual rough patches. And we actually kind of separated for a few months too. And then after we kind of both went through our little fucking dark night of the soul, as you like to call it.
Yeah, it was probably my 3rd by the time.
We've had a lot of those. But yeah, after we kind of went through that, we ended up linking back up, and like it was just history from there. We picked right back up where we left.
And I was at that time actually exiting Jersey Mike's.
Yes.
I was exiting.
Mm-hmm.
My store was being sold. I was actually done with it. And believe it or
I
not,
had actually left before that. I left before we kind of, like, as we started falling off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You didn't mention that. Yeah, he was gone for a while.
Yeah, I had a second job already at this point, and I kind of just was like, all right, enough is enough. I don't really, I didn't really need it anymore. But yeah, then we kind of went our separate ways for a little bit, came back together, picked up where we left off. And that's where we got really a lot deeper into it. And then I also was comforted by the fact that I felt like Ray was finally stepping more into his truth. And I was kind of like right behind it, but I was still just fighting off a couple more things. But then as time went on and we stayed connected, we really started enlightening ourselves with that information again, seeing how it was actually beneficial. Then we started actually applying it more to ourselves and our lives. And then we started seeing the results. And as we started seeing the results, that's where we developed that confidence of like, wow, like.
Yeah, we had tangible, real life things. This wasn't something you read on the internet and then you're going by, or you're not taking a Bible and interpreting yourself. You're experiencing real things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was just even like just a different way of thinking and bringing a new perspective on some of the experiences we had, some of the beliefs we had, just taking those things and taking a step back from them and, looking at them from a third party view and actually analyzing them. And you were able to see a lot more of your faults, your shortcomings, and then without judgment, taking those faults and shortcomings and being able to reconstruct your attitude a little bit and some of your beliefs, thoughts, and then actions, and therefore being able to change your life.
Yeah, align those things, you know. And a lot of people, they put their eggs in one basket when it comes to beliefs. Usually, you know, they'll go to one or two sources. You're lucky if you get two out of people. When it comes to like the main set of beliefs that they have, whether it's a religion, a political party, people aren't so multifaceted as they should be. And why I say should be is because when you dedicate yourself to just one set of beliefs or something you've believed your whole life without stepping outside of that, without transcending that, then you're bound to those things. And one of the most important lessons out of all of it, when it came to discovering things from this knowledge and you know all these discussions we had, was it was really important to just see things as perspective and utilize these things in a way where it benefited you. So whether if it was a religion, astrology, anything that you learned like that, I truly believe that it's very important to pick up a perspective on it that's just beneficial for you. It doesn't matter if you believe in this or that. Is it benefiting your life? And that was one of the big things we learned. Like, I have my personal topics I absolutely love. Why? Because they do things for myself. I don't push my beliefs or anything on anybody. But I do make sure that whatever it is I'm investing in with my thoughts, you know, thoughts become actions. You know, thoughts become feelings, or feelings become thoughts, then that becomes actions.
Yes, exactly. And it's all derived from certain beliefs, and it could be small or big. And like, I think that's like the main thing about this is it helped us realize how we were putting ourselves in a box and limiting ourselves to certain either powers that we needed to step into, or, you know, certain things we need to let go of, or situations or people. You know, it all tied in, and it started making more sense. And as we actually started, you know, talking about this more, it became almost as if we were practicing it. And then as we were practicing it, it became more secondhand nature, and we started actually applying, you know, the things we were learning and our new perspectives. We were starting to apply it more to our lives, to the point where we actually started seeing significant change. And as we saw significant change, that's what led us to where we are now, and why we're bringing this podcast to you guys. Cause it's okay. We're not saying that we fully just started believing in a certain thing like astrology. Like, we're going to go into, obviously, like it was mentioned, astrology, numerology, ancient,
all ancient wisdom,
all ancient
scriptures.
wisdom.
And because you got to remember, a lot of those things dictate people's lives.
Yes.
They dictate how people think.
Their beliefs,
right? Because that leads to action. That leads to the real world thing. Actions are physical manifestations of thoughts, right? So whatever you're thinking matters. So, and if people are getting these beliefs from, say, a religious party or a political party, or their next door neighbor, or, you know, a young kid trying to fit in the group and seeing the cool kids talk in whatever certain way, and they start, you know, applying things that helps them fit in the culture.
You're following the herd, you know?
Right. And that's where sheep, that's where that comes from.
Exactly. And so that's what kind of led us here, because after we started seeing the benefits for looking into more of this knowledge, and then seeing how we can individually apply it to our own lives in whichever way that meant. You know, the way Ray does it may sometimes be different than how I do it. Something that he finds significant may not be as significant to me, but it's all in the realm of the journey of how you look at things. And like we said, the perspective.
Personal perspective.
Yes. So that's where we came to be like, all right, you know what? We are doing this thing to apply, you know, we're applying this stuff to our lives, and we're seeing changes. And then not only that, watching how society has just gone down the toilet with just all these conformist ideals and everything.
Oh, the brainwashing is unbelievable.
The censorship,
people
everything.
do not think for themselves
it's
anymore.
Scary.
It's all about a party, or it's all about basically, it's like groupthink, you know?
Either
it's
too serious or not serious enough.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny too, because astrologically there's an explanation for that, which is why I love it. And that's going to be an episode.
There you
Like,
go.
there's a way to describe that, and the way that the cultures were brought up. And remember, like it's multidimensional, because you could look at something like, I can find every reason why it's bullshit. No doubt in my mind, I could find those things. And there's even explanations on that as well. But when it comes down to it, like me personally, used generational astrology and learned about that side that doesn't care so much, and then that side that cares too much, and then that side that feels too much. And at least it gave me, regardless whether you want to talk about signs and houses and that stuff or charts, it's more so it gave me the perspective. It didn't matter how I got to the perspective. It's a big point, is that it doesn't matter how you get to the perspective, as long as if it's a truth for you and that it's benefiting you and the ones around you.
It's the fact that you actually got there. So us now with these thoughts and everything, you know, and us wanting to have our purpose and feeling like we were meant to do something more, it brought us to this idea for this podcast, was to be like, you know what? There's a lot that we had to dig deep to search and uncover. You know, if we could get people to tune in and share with them, you know, that would be really purposeful and could possibly be beneficial in helping other people. And that was all in the realm of what we wanted to be able to do. We wanted to help other people. And like, it started off where it was just in our immediate environment, where we were doing that with a lot of the people that we just come in contact with, whether it was work, whether it was friends or family. And
I mean, it was more so too. It was just solid interest in conversation.
Yeah,
it really
just
wasn't
conversations.
like, and which makes sense for something like, say, a podcast.
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
That's
at the end
all
of
it
the
is.
day.
And it's not like we're sitting there, like, it's not like we were telling people, oh, like, you got to think this, or you got to believe this, or like, no. If you listen to this is the truth. Like, no, it wasn't that. It was just that if general topics and conversations came up, we'd sit there and talk about it and break things down. And, you know, you'd get somebody else's perspective of it, and then you'd share your perspective, and doing it in a delicate way, where it wasn't a debate and it was just more of an actual discussion about opinions and certain thoughts constructs. It ended up being where it was productive between the two people, or, you know, when speaking to somebody about the different perspectives, to the point where we started seeing actual people in our lives start becoming more aware to it and being like, wow, you know, the thing that you told me that other day, whatever, and stuff, like, I feel like it's actually like kind of true, like this stuff or whatever.
I just got an awesome text yesterday from somebody.
Okay. Yeah.
About it was like, oh man, it was something along the lines of, if I worry about, we're talking about a certain subject or getting some, I forget what it was, but it was like, oh, if I worry about it, then the universe will bring me the opposite of what I want. If I sit there and worry, I'm going to attract the worrisome thing. I'm going to basically vibrate at that.
Yeah,
and
you're
like,
holding that emotion. That emotion is energy in motion.
Putting it out brings it back.
Yeah, you're giving that. You're giving that energy.
And that's just, especially for me, because like through my darkest days, learning something like the law of attraction, which I didn't mention in the beginning. I mean, Zeitgeist was huge. That was my occult journey, but being somewhat depressed, you know, Sandy took my house and I lost my girlfriend and all this crazy crap happened, right? And I was like, I need something to hold on to. I don't have faith. I don't believe in, I know at that time I was somewhat atheist, agnostic, because I was like, my logical mind's like, something's got to make all this. It doesn't make any sense. You know, a car doesn't build itself, you know, so but there's a mechanical side to it. But the law of attraction, the secret, was like, as much as it got like very mainstream and people were like, oh, if you just think positive, and it became kind of like a joke to a lot of people, but to other people it wasn't. Like, a lot of people made it productive, and whether if it was delusional or not, it was still a way of thinking. Yeah, we're talking perspective, just like we're talking about many of the things we have on the show. Yeah,
a lot of the stuff that, you know, that we're gonna actually discuss it's not stuff that's foreign. It's a lot of discussions that have been made before, or topics that people are generally aware of, but a lot of the times they only scratch the surface and don't bother diving deep within or seeing how it goes a lot further than what it's portrayed to be.
Applicable, digestible.
Yeah. And like, okay, like, so like the flip side of what Ray said about, you know, how you were saying, you know, I was, you know, kind of like almost like Gnostic or atheist or whatever.
Right, lost faith.
Like, and you went through a lot of stuff. Like, okay, so in the same sense, people are like, oh, well, I grew up Christian, right? I grew up in a, pretty good household and everything, and things still went to crap at some point. And I actually was on the path of, becoming an alcoholic, actually.
Self-destruction.
Yeah, I was self-destructing, and I didn't understand why. Couldn't understand why happiness always evaded me. I couldn't understand how my beliefs were not supporting me enough. They were keeping me afloat, but they weren't propelling me out of the shit that I was in. But it wasn't the beliefs themselves. It was about my perspective. And now I could confidently say I've completely resculpted my life. It's been completely more fulfilling and abundant. I'm sober now. It's like, and that's not something that I generally would like to share with people, but I want to share it now because I feel like that's an important thing to know about somebody who's going to speak on some of these things. So, that's with that. And as far as like how you gave an example of when you were talking to somebody and how it was helpful to them about something, I had a similar experience recently too, where somebody I work with has been going through a lot of things and has been holding the space for their significant other who, that their significant other's father is going through a really pretty bad illness with cancer. And
you can easily lose faith.
Yes, and it's a scary time.
The dark side of it, right?
Yeah, and like she knows how I am, and she talks to me and everything, and asks about, I don't know, like I'm trying to hold it together and everything. And all I didn't even really, I say things every now and then, and kind of like, I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not saying everything's going to be fine, especially as an EMT. You're not supposed to sit there and try to tell somebody that everything's gonna be okay, because you don't know that's true. You don't,
or a Virgo rising.
Yes, or a Virgo rising. All right. But that's the thing. All I ended up doing, I was like, you know what? I was like, this is something that might help you, that kind of has helped me. And it was actually an app on my phone that it was introduced to me by my girlfriend. Shout out to Sam. It was actually introduced to me by her, and you plug in this information. I think it goes based a little bit off astrology. It's called the pattern. But the things that it says about, like, it kind of basically tells you cycles that you're kind of going through. But it doesn't go so much. It's not so astrology based the way it comes off, but it's really just more intuitive.
It's hard to comfort someone when you say like, oh, well, Saturn's in your fifth.
Yeah, Mars is square your friggin' Uranus, and yeah, it's a little hard doing that.
Yeah, very hard to do.
But this like kind of brought a real logical way of viewing things, and so I introduced her. I was like, just check it out. I was like, see if it does anything for you. And she's come back to me. She's like, yo, that pattern app, oh my God, it really is like making me open my eyes to like things that I feel like I've been dismissive about, or it's really making me feel in touch with more of myself and how I feel about things. And it's helping me in a weird way. And mind you, this person is kind of real skeptical. I don't really think they have a real belief in a God or a higher power either.
They just probably don't think about it.
Yeah, exactly. They don't.
And a lot of people are
deep enough into it.
Right, but I think that's a big thing with this culture now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say the average thinker, that's more of a logical brain. Like they just live life, go to work. Just normal people. They don't. If you think deep, it's kind of like, oh man, you just think too deep into things. You get that comment all the time. Exactly. I've gotten that comment.
You're looked at as like a nut, or you're like a little far out there, bro.
Yeah, which of course I give them, like, there's a lot of crazy conspiracies and a lot of crazy theories out there, and but that you shouldn't give up on like at least exploring. I mean, a lot of this stuff's really just good for the imagination in general. And by the way, you have one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of people that go about that route of like dismissing any sort of higher power. Most of the times, what I've realized through conversations is that it's because of the negative connotations that come with a lot of organized religions. The very fairy tale, I can't even say the word, fairy tale, ritualistic way of viewing God and religion is what turns them off. And I could totally understand that. And I feel for people like that. And this is a big part of the reason why I'm doing this too, is because we're going to get into a lot of stuff about the history, beliefs, the roots of religion, and
how it even connects to astrology and
spirituality.
All of it. It's one of the teachers I watch. He he labels it syncretism. There's a syncretism. And all that really means, not to be all big wordy and all, is it synchronizes everything. There's actually a way to synchronize all of this stuff and bring all religions together and bring all ancient knowledge together. And that's the purpose. And by clearing the air with that, me and Gio feel that that will bring a benefit to modern day culture and the way we think and the way we go about things and the way we treat each other and the way we look at each other with, if someone has a different perspective, instead of joining this stupid cancel culture, this ridiculous way like of shunning people for believing or thinking differently. It's different when someone's thinking detrimentally to, say, another race but there's a way to clear the air and there's a way to fix this. And in a time where it looks so dark and so gloomy and not a lot of hope, and we now are putting all of our attention on politics and each other,
the media,
all of that stuff is like we're losing our individuality, our way of thought, our own individual way of thought, and our imagination. As much as we're taught, like, really think about it, in schools they're cutting out all the arts and they're cutting out all the things that spark your imagination. And let's be honest, your imagination is the one thing that's unique to you, and it's been cut off. So regardless if you believe any of the information on a belief level, it's more so important to just keep the mind open and practice the imagination. And who knows, out of all the information coming out of here, all of a sudden you hear something, just like me and Gio have witnessed over and over again. All of a sudden your way of thinking is differently. And all of a sudden it's different in perspective, and it's different how you go about life, and it affects you.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, as the information comes in, as humans, we all are filled with bias. We're all filled with bias, whether because of, you got to think about growing up at a young age, your mind is it's like a sponge. So whoever you're around, whether it's your parents, your religious figures, your teachers, family, friends, they tend to be, teaching you pretty much and sculpting you into your beliefs and your morals and your values,
down to your name.
Exactly.
Your name, someone you didn't pick your name.
Exactly. So it's like these are just things that you've been constructed to feel that way. So the whole point of this is, as the information comes into you, is to be able to try your best to let your bias go. This way you can freely get the information and not right away put a judgment on it. When you don't put a judgment on it, it allows you to openly be able to think about all aspects and all perspectives of what you're hearing. Therefore, you can actually develop your own true feelings, beliefs, and thoughts about it in the moment. And I'm not saying that you're going to, it's very hard to get rid of bias.
Oh, when you've thought a certain way for so long.
You're programmed. But that's the thing. It's like, it can be attempted, and that's the whole point. We've done the same thing. Can't say that we're not biased sometimes, but we're doing our best to shed the bias.
We still do it.
Yeah. And we notice it. That's the thing, that we actually are able to notice it now and then let it go. And let it go and see that, and therefore be able to see the perspective of other opinions, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and everything else. Because that's the thing. Nowadays, it's like you can't have an opinion, belief, thought, feeling, whatever,
without being crucified. And people not being able to be civil about it when discussing it. It shouldn't be that way. We want to be able to make it civil. We should be able to just be civil and not be so divided. Well,
that's
I think
a lot of our problems.
Well, a lot of people would be a lot happier, I think, if they could think their own thoughts.
Yeah, that's the thing.
If they could come up with their own conclusions without being smited and told that they're, because let's be honest, psychologically speaking, everyone wants to be a part of the tribe. There's tribe mentality. So a lot of people out there who don't have that strong of a will, or at least don't realize it. Some people, it's like they have a will, but they're unconscious to it. They're unconscious to the fact that they could think their own thoughts, and they don't realize that everything I'm thinking and saying and doing, someone else told me that. And you know what that could do to the spirit? Mm-hmm. You know what that could do to not have an individual self in a day like today.
You know what you can miss out on?
Your own happiness,
yeah.
Your own personal heaven that you could create. And it all comes from just understanding things. It's one of the biggest goals I have, is to, as much as I love the information, and you're going to hear me talk a lot about it, but it's a goal of mine to just help you understand all of this stuff. And once you do, it does clear the palette. And then you could start choosing what you'd like on the palette. Like you start creating your own, it's a blank canvas, and it's time for you to now, paint the picture that you call your life.
Exactly. And with all that being said, that's what we're here to bring to you through this podcast is we'll do the searching for you, but so that you can take it and then go do the searching of your own, whichever way you feel. We're just going to gather everything, bring it here, discuss it openly, try to shed the bias on anything, have fun, entertain. And that's what we're going to bring to you. We're going to, be able to share that experience with you so that you can take it and reshape into the way that you feel is true and aligned to your truest potential. So honestly, with that being said, I look forward, and I know Ray does too. We look forward
Very excited.
Yes,
I've been waiting to do this for years.
Exactly. And we're just really excited to be able to bring this out, plant whatever seeds we possibly can for people to really use their own mind and truly use their own thoughts. And we're going to constantly come out with different episodes of different topics and go into full discussions about everything. You'll be able to find all our episodes on our platforms. Also give us a follow, a share, a like on our Facebook, Instagram,
all the
and Twitter
usual
pages. Yeah, social
Subscribe.
media, everything. Subscribe to our Patreon. And we're gonna dive deep.
Yeah. And I'd like to add one last thing on my end is we will have guests.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to interview people. We want to have people on a bunch from all different types of, belief systems and backgrounds. And we find it important to get more perspective other than ours. And as for you guys too, we want to interact. We want to hear what you have to say, agree or disagree. We don't mind. This is all for discussional purposes. It's educational. It's getting to know each other, and not even just us, meaning me and Gio. It's, you guys should also maybe learn how we've learned to understand other people and to listen, because that's a superpower.
Absolutely. So we want to thank you for your time and tuning into the Daily Transcendence and getting to know a little bit about who we are. We look forward to you tapping into higher frequencies with us and getting familiar with the unknown.
And remember, guys, without question,
there is no truth. Take care.